Hey everyone, Andrew here at ShipAngel. I am just going to share my screen, and then from there we can get into the demo. A little bit of housekeeping. If you guys have any questions, please drop some questions into the chat. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts, your questions, or your interest. Ultimately, we hope that this demo can give you an idea of some of the features of ShipAngel. Very specifically, we're going to review a lot of the AI-native aspects of the ShipAngel platform. And so if you were interested and you'd love to dive in a little bit deeper, we very much live in the world that we are a show, not tell business. I want to show you how we can help you. I want to show you the value, and we can help you go through that in a future call if you're interested. And so please reach out to us, drop a note in the chat, or you can always reach out to my email address, andrew@shipangel.com. We'd love to continue the conversation and help you guys on your shipping rate journey. A little bit about ShipAngel. ShipAngel is an AI-native software platform for international shippers who are focused on managing their international rates. And so what that means is, right now, the ocean shipping process, you have to get a lot of quotes, a lot of contracts, a lot of rates from your different providers. And what that means is these come in many different formats. And so you have Excel documents that come in, you have email attachments, PDFs, email quotes. There's a lot of ways in which rate information is communicated to shippers. From there, shippers have to decipher what do they mean, what are the total costs? What's my total cost? What's my exposure to this carrier versus that carrier versus this trade? There's a lot of analysis that has to be done. Before you can even do the analysis, you have to process all of those rates. If you have a high volume business and a large supply chain, you're going to have a lot of potential quotes and contracts that you need to process. What we were able to do is solve that problem in international rates, is introduce our own machine learning artificial intelligence system that processes all of those rates for you. And so the rates come in, they go into what we call our AI process. We reformat, re-understand, we translate all of that shipping data into one common language that you're then able to see inside the ShipAngel platform, understand your rates, and also present your rates to the larger team. Most organizations, the rates don't just live under one silo of the procurement team. They live under the operations team. They live into the finance team. They live into, supply chain teams, procurement, raw material procurement teams. A lot of people need access to these rate sheets. And what we're able to do is give everyone access 24/7, 365 from the palm of their hand or from the desktop that they sit at every day to work. That's really where ShipAngel was founded, and where we've put most of our effort and work is inside this ShipAngel artificial intelligence that is used to process all of the rates. Once the shipping rates are processed, we put them inside our ShipAngel platform. This is a platform and a customer we call Banana Cola. It's a hypothetical customer, but inside the platform here is where you now get access to all of your rates. It's not a spreadsheet. It's not some drive on a folder somewhere that someone could manipulate or potentially delete, or the IT team is on vacation and something doesn't work. This is a platform that's live 365, 24/7 that you guys have access to. Inside the platform, we can store your ocean, air, and trucking rates, all for visibility. One of the cool features that we're able to do is also utilize the process. And so as rate sheets flow into the system, we're able to see the rates come in, and we're able to understand, what do we need to do with these rates? How do they get processed? And so right before this call, I uploaded some rates. And what's useful here is, if you have a large team, if you have 4 or 5 people working on your procurement of transportation, it all lives in this central hub. Every time a rate gets uploaded, every time a rate is negotiated, it lives inside the ShipAngel platform. And so you always have access to these rates as they come through. What's super useful additionally is, another place that we use artificial intelligence is the idea of our AI copilot. And so from here, you can start to use our AI system that we have built internally to understand your rates without having to search for those answers. Every procurement person doesn't wake up on a Thursday morning and go, I wonder what my rates are out of pure curiosity. They always have some sort of answer that they need, question that they have, and they have to look at their rates usually to find that answer. Some can remember these things off the top of their head, and shout out to them. Most can't. And so what's useful here is inside the platform, we can start to ask questions to our rates. And one of the questions we might be able to say is, what is my fastest transit time on the Shanghai to New York City route? And this is a generally simple question. I could search, I could sort and filter by transit time, and we could see what the fastest is. But imagine a world where you're between meetings, or you're in a meeting. You can pull up the ShipAngel application from a browser on your phone. It's really simple to just pull out your phone, go to your Google Chrome, go to your Apple Safari, log into ShipAngel. Hopefully you're already logged in because you're using it. And you can say, hey, what's my fastest transit time, Shanghai to New York City? Here it's telling you very quickly, DSV looks like to be the fastest that you could utilize with a transit time of 27 days. Perfect. If I'm trying to make a very quick decision or I need a very quick answer, I can ask the system and it'll come back and it'll tell you the answer. It's not exactly groundbreaking, but what it's going to do is give your data and you accessibility to that data in a much faster way. And so you have access to it 24/7. Additionally, you can start to ask some more complex questions like, what is my average rate per 40 high cube Shanghai to New York City for October? Imagine you're trying to do some budgeting. You're trying to budget out the Q4 cost. You know what your volumes you're going to ship. This is your most important lane. What is your average cost on these lanes? Again, I can do a search. I can pull out my TI-89 calculator and start to punch in every single 40 high cube rate I have with all my providers, or I can ask the system to very quickly give me an answer. The answer to this question is your average rate is now 2425. And so if I'm trying to understand what's my average cost that I should spend on a budget basis, if I know I'm going to do 100 containers in the quarter, I now can very quickly do 100 times 2425. And I know, hey, this is a budget that I can potentially shoot for. A lot of times we're just trying to shave time and give you the ability to get these answers faster. And it's really useful to use our AI Copilot to get some of those answers. And we can really start to get deeper too into this. You can start to understand bunker surcharges across your business. Which carrier has the lowest bunker surcharge on this lane? You can start to ask more complicated questions and try to get closer to the answers without having to do some of the analysis. This is something we're super excited about, but it's something that a lot of our customers are starting to utilize more and more every day as it gets more data from the rates that we upload, the more useful the AI Copilot is becoming for our customers. Another place that we're utilizing artificial intelligence is inside our invoice audit functionality. And so inside our invoice audit functionality, what we give you the ability to do is upload your invoices. And so I could upload multiple invoices. I could upload one singular invoice. What the system is then going to do is understand, okay, what are the charges being charged inside these invoices? And so I'm going to look at this invoice here. It happens to be a CMA invoice that we doctored up for this hypothetical Banana Cola customer. But what's useful here is now I have a place to store these invoices. Again, not someone's email, not a drive folder that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. It's all centralized in my rate platform. From here, you can look at these invoices and you can look at them yourself. You can download them. You can send them to people. It's here for you to always have. But what we're able to do is use our AI machine learning system, again, that we have built internally. It sits inside of our AWS server, servicing our customers' data and keeping our customers' data there, not sending it externally to any sort of LLM or other AI system. And what it allows us to do is pull out the relevant shipment information, invoice number, carrier, from, to, what's the price calculation date, what's the total cost. And in addition, we can match these up against the totals that we expect for this shipment on this lane. We expected a $50 BOL charge. We expected a $2,500 base freight, and we expected a $179 bunker charge. The invoice gave us those exact values. And so ultimately, there's no discrepancy on this. The rates matched. Your team can mark this for payment. It's super useful as everyone has to do this process, or hopefully everyone is doing this process on a one-off individual basis, or sometimes companies employ a third party to go through that invoicing. But from our experience, all they're doing is looking at it manually. They're employing humans, they're employing teams to look at these invoices. What we're able to do is automate a lot of this process utilizing our artificial intelligence machine to look at your invoices and tell you when something is correct. Or more importantly, the common phrase in logistics is I want to manage by exception. I want to go in here, understand that this invoice was discrepant. I want to understand where the mistakes lie. In this scenario, the invoice came in at 2612. There's a $112 discrepancy. I need to focus on this invoice. I need to go to CMA and say, hey guys, you made a mistake. Can you review this? We're going to give you that tool that's powered by our artificial intelligence machine internally. All of these cool bells and whistles, your ability to search using artificial intelligence, your ability to invoice audit through AI, all of that is possible because of our ability to process all of the rates and put them into the ShipAngel platform utilizing our artificial intelligence machine. And so the core of our platform is the AI. And so when I go into our search function, I'm going to go into air freight, and I'm going to do a search from wonderful Mansfield, Massachusetts, which is where I live. From here, I can get multiple results on this lane for all of my rates from Mansfield. I have rates from here from Mansfield to Dublin. I have some rates from Mansfield to London, and I have some rates from Mansfield to Belfast, which is fantastic. What's super useful here is I now can compare my rates on my lanes based on my specific providers. I understand based on the weight breaks, this is what SIVA costs on FI and DL, et cetera, et cetera. Additionally, what we give you the ability to is now access all of the surcharge data. Some teams might be interested in this. Your procurement team might want to dig into what's my security charge based on this carrier on this lane. Some operations teams may want to know what's my pickup cost, what's my x-ray cost. There's some specific costs that they might want to double check. Could be an invoice that they're looking at, or it just could be a shipment that they're trying to confirm. They want to make sure they get the cost right on something internally. Ultimately, we give all of that information for you here to validate, and we give the ability to put in a chargeable weight. And so if I come in here and put in 301 kilos, what it's going to do here is it's now going to calculate at 301 chargeable weight kilos, what's this actual cost of this shipment? In this scenario, this actual cost for this provider on this lane is $8,260.70. To a penny, we're going to tell you what your total cost exposure is for this provider on this lane. Super useful, because now you're not just managing rates and the procurement team isn't the only ones looking at this. Your operations teams, your customer service teams are now validating actual potential shipments so that when they're budgeting and they're conversating with customers, they know, hey, it's going to cost, almost, $8,500, give or take. No, it's $8,260.70 coming out to $27.44 per kilo based on a 301 kilo chargeable weight. You can be very, very, very specific. Additionally, ShipAngel brings in a lot of third-party data into our platforms to help you now validate your decisions. And so inside this chart here on the right, what you're going to see is a chart of your rates in green and the market average in blue. And so when I expand this chart, what you see here in blue is how the market has trended on this lane based on third-party data. And so I know very, very quickly the market average as of the last time the data was updated here on September 29th, less than 45 kilo weight break, which is somewhat unrealistic. No one ships less than 45 usually on an air freight shipment. Usually they're going to send that DHL or a parcel. So let's switch it over to 300 kilos. At 300 kilos, we're looking at $1.35 market average cost versus my cost, which is $19.10. And what's super useful here, and you might have seen this when I was looking at the surcharge section, this is a Mansfield door move. The pickup is happening at a warehouse in Mansfield, Massachusetts. It's moving to Boston Airport. It's moving to, I'm blanking on the airport code there in Heathrow. I was going to get it at some point. And it's moving then to a door location in London. What we're able to do using our artificial intelligence process is isolate the air freight costs. And so we know the air rate, the fuel, and the securities add up to a very specific number. It's not showing me this number because I have a weight selected. But we know the air rate is $18 at the plus 300 kilos. We know my fuel cost is $1, and we know my securities is 10 cents. The total cost per kilo is $19.10. I don't care when I'm benchmarking my air freight rates what my origin pickup costs are. I might care, but how I benchmark apples to apples is very important here, because 3 cents, 10 cents matter in air freight. And so what I'm able to do is look at this $19.10 and compare it directly to the market data. And so when I look here on the graph, I'm seeing $19.10 as my rate. And then I'm comparing that apples to apples to what's in the air market. And so this is a new change that we're able to introduce to our air freight section through the process of uploading our rates in our AI rate process, is we now can categorize the right charges in the right places so that you are comparing apples to apples. If I'm a procurement manager and I am looking at this data, trying to make a decision on, am I buying the right rates at the right prices? I can tell you right now, you're buying potentially the right shipment, the right providers, but they're giving you some very uncompetitive rates. And I can validate this very quickly to say 1,000% above the market average. I got some work to do. Let me go back to the drawing table and see if I can get this rate down a little bit. This is not possible in an environment where you have to constantly update spreadsheets. You have to constantly fix your formulas. You have to bring in your third-party benchmark data. You have to bring in your new air freight rates that could change weekly, monthly, quarterly. You have to consistently up. All of that pain is gone. So where you just focus on negotiating. Negotiate your rates, evaluate your rates, push back when you need to. Don't push back when your rates are competitive. It all gives you the ability to understand, where do I need to spend my time, and make sure you're doing it in a data-driven way. If I have 100 shipments a month on this lane from Mansfield to London, you sure bet I'm going to go negotiate a better rate on this lane, because it has a very substantial impact on your bottom line and your margins. If I'm saving 1,000% compared to where I was previously in comparison to where the market is, that $18, $16 potentially that I could save is a serious benefit to me and my company. Ultimately, you can go back to your boss and say, hey, look what I did. And you can show them how that has progressed. Hey, look at our rates over time. We had rates at $19.10. We understood it to be above market. We were able to lower the rate, get a more competitive rate, and look how we're trending now. All of this is not possible in today's spreadsheets. It's very much possible inside the ShipAngel platform. Additionally, inside the ShipAngel platform, we also give you the ability to bring your trucking rates into the platform. And so what you're seeing here is our trucking section, where now you have the ability to see all of your truck rates. And what's useful here about trucking is a lot of times FTL trucking, specifically brokerage trucking here in the United States, it's done so in emails. You send an email, a BCC email to 7 providers, you ask them for rates. They come back to you and say, hey, it's $1,068.20 all in, Boston, New York City. It's a very simple process, but it's very much done, might as well be in a fax machine at this point. What we're able to do is work with you and your vendors, and we can present to you a very simple format on how to send these emails. And what it can return is you could send out 7 requests to different parties. You could process those rates, and send them to us in mere minutes. And it's a very much a new process that we have entered into, where we've refined our ability to manage that high volume truck rate quoting business. And so what that means, and I did it last week on our demo that we did, or 2 weeks ago rather, where we live on the demo can create a email with pricing, forward it to the shipangel.ai email address, and we can process those rates for you guys in minutes. And so what that means is if you're evaluating a full truckload rate, you can go into your email, you can send one email, and potentially in minutes or 20 minutes later, you just log into the ShipAngel platform and you type in the lane that you're looking for specifically. I'm going to type in Mansfield, Mass to, I think I have a San Francisco here built out. I do not. I thought I did. You very quickly, we'll do this one. We'll do Houston. Type in Houston. And so very quickly I can say, okay, I have 2 offers that I've received back from my providers. What are the rates that I could ship on? One's 6,100, one's 5,000. If I'm going to ship on this lane, this is the provider that I should ship on. And we can help you process those rates, make better decisions on these rates, and not have to do it inside of an email. I don't have access to rate history in email. I don't have access to the listed out surcharges. I don't have ability to see how the rate has trended. Maybe it's a contractual rate over time. How has this rate changed over time based on the fuel percentage that changes every single week? All this information is difficult to manage in an email. It's a little bit less difficult in an Excel document, but inside the ShipAngel platform, it's extremely smooth and extremely easy to view and see. Additionally, the most robust version of our ShipAngel platform is inside our ocean section. And so from here, I'm going to kick off a Shanghai to LA search. What you're seeing here is one result for DSV. And what it's really important to notice here is this is a rate for the spot market, if you will. It's a 30-day validity. It's a short-term rate. The Trans-Pacific trade is generally quoted when it comes to freight of all kinds on a bi-weekly or bi-monthly or a monthly basis. Usually your rates change the 15th and the 30th. Sometimes providers will be really nice to you and give you a 30-day rate. But it's always important to understand what does my rate mean in comparison to the market? And so we give you that access here in the ocean section to also understand, hey, what is my rate? Today, Shanghai to LA, my rate's $1,805. I, as a procurement manager, would look at the historical view of this rate and say, hey, my rate used to be $2,000. Previous to that, it was $2,200. I've done a good job of making sure my rates go down. Maybe I've negotiated better. But even though my rates have come down over time, they're still above the market rate. I'm still leaving money on the table that I could be saving. And if you have a very tight margin business because of the geopolitical world we live in, everyone's margins have shrunk in the last 3 to 6 months. Have they shrunk 100% or have they shrunk X percent? Or 0%. It's probably somewhere between the two. But every dollar or every percent that you can give back to the business in terms of a margin helps you. And so knowing that even though my rate's at $1,800, I'm still 50% off the market rate. Today's market rate on this lane is at below $1,200. If you've been around in shipping for a few years, even pre-COVID, you'll remember that give or take $1,500 is generally speaking kind of a break-even point for ocean carriers. I'm sure some probably hear that now and get a little nervous that is common knowledge, but $1,100 is what the market average is. And being 50% above is something that you need to address. You have that visibility. You have the ability to see that inside the ShipAngel platform within your rates. Additionally, what's super valuable here is we also have the ability to isolate the door piece. This is something that we've recently introduced along with our ocean freight. I'm just going to switch over to a door lane here, in that we can also present you the rates so that you don't have to understand, well, is it an apples to apples rate or not? And so inside the platform here, we have a rate from Georgia all the way to a destination in China. I chose this destination because I cannot pronunciate it, and I thought it would be a silly conversation starter every time we do it. But nonetheless, rates don't always live in a port basis. There's inland ports, and then there's door locations that are either a part of your rate or involved within the rate. We can now know, okay, my all-in cost is, just short of $1,400. I can come in here and I can compare and understand where I am against the market, but this market average is not possible from Georgia to, in this case, door location in Texas. I don't know what the market rate is on this lane. The market rate on this lane is representative between Savannah and Shanghai. And so I can look at this all day and say, well, this is the market. It's, $400, but that's only a piece of my ocean freight. What we've been able to do is institute this idea of being able to now institute something we call custom pricing. We have a really large customer of ours that utilizes this in other ways, but they're able to change the pricing dynamic that they're looking at. They don't want to necessarily see the all-in value. They want to see something that's representative of a piece of that puzzle. And so what we're able to do is give you a piece of that puzzle. In this case, it's a $190 port to port. It's my Savannah to Shanghai port costs. Now, when I look at this inside of our chart, I now know, okay, my rate port to port is actually pretty competitive. 190 versus 286. I'm actually in a position where I'm below market. If I was accounting for a door move and comparing apples to oranges with the third-party benchmark data, I'm now not making the right decisions when I'm trying to ship the cargo with the right providers. And so it's something really new that we've been able to institute to give our customers who utilize drayage within their ocean freight. Maybe they contract with MSC, maybe they contract with DSV. They have rates that are a part of this picture for a port-to-port basis. And so we can give you the ability to switch back and forth between a all-in pricing and a port-to-port basis to ensure that you make the right benchmarking comparisons. It's very easy to do when you're only looking at Savannah to Shanghai. It's a lot harder to do door to door and isolate that port piece so that you're making good decisions. Additionally, inside the ShipAngel platform, we also give you the ability to start to save some of your favorite lanes. I like to call it the greatest hit section, and it lives inside My Routes, or specifically the My Routes Ocean section is my favorite one. From here, you can see what rates I have on the lanes that I've saved. So I've saved a handful of these Shanghai lanes to a couple different destinations. And what I'm able to see here is cheapest, fastest, lowest CO2 option. We don't have CO2 turned on for every customer. If CO2 is something you make decisions on, they have a lower CO2 footprint than they do, I want to use them. We can provide you that data and show it to you as well. From here, I can make quick decisions. Who are my rates with on these various lanes? I have some CMA rates. I can click on this. I can get more information about the rate when I click on it. Or I can also view all of my vendors on a particular lane. And so now I can see Shanghai to Savannah, for example. I now know I have rates with CMA, Hapag, MSC, and we have a hypothetical rate with Hanjin's. It's a long story. It's for another feature that we're in the working of developing. I'd love to show it to you guys in the future. But I very quickly can see CMA versus Hapag versus MSC. What are their pricing? How do they compare? Hapag-Lloyd, they're double what my other providers are almost. But I can now compare apples to apples next to each other. And very importantly, I also have the market averages here for me to evaluate. I know market rate, my rates, and how they compare. Additionally, what's super useful is this is extractable. I can extract this data from here when I'm inside our air freight section and I'm looking at my lanes from Mansfield and click search. I can also extract the rates here. I can bring them to other parts of my business downstream. I want to bring this to my TMS. I want to put this into my ERP. I want to send this to my finance team. I want to send this to my CEO and tell them, look how awesome our rates are. They're 23% below market. Look how great we're doing. All of the information inside ShipAngel, it's easy to get it in through our AI process, and it's really easy to get it out and push it downstream into your other parts of your business. I really hope you guys were able to jump on this call and learn a lot of information about ShipAngel. I think we're doing some really impressive things when it comes to artificial intelligence. I'd love to show you how. Ideally, with customers, we love to sign NDAs. You send us some of your rate sheets and your contracts. We'll process them and we'll show them to you inside the platform so you can get a really good idea of what your business looks like here on the ShipAngel platform. And we can really show you some serious ROI around saving time, making better decisions, and ultimately bringing your organization into the 23rd century or 22nd century. I forget what century you're in at this point. But the future is utilizing artificial intelligence to help you manage data and help you manage your business so that you, the human in the loop in this process, can go spend time where it matters the most, which is on some other things besides just your rate data. I'm Andrew Bourget, Head of Customer Operations. I look forward to talking to you all again soon. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.